CTV Calgary, local breaking news with Ian White.
Good afternoon. The father of a Calgary teen killed in an alleged impaired driving crash says he's outraged. The man accused in his son's death faces new charges related to another collision in the city last week. Mark Villani is live where the latest incident unfolded on McLeod Trail at 58th Avenue Southwest. Mark, take us through the details.
Well, Ian, this is where 19-year-old Kane Burrows was arrested in the early hours of Friday morning. Police say they tried to pull over a BMW M5 in a traffic stop. That's when the driver took off and slammed into the back of a parked vehicle, setting off a chain reaction that damaged 7 other vehicles. Now, Burrows was charged with impaired driving and violating release conditions, which included not driving or consuming any alcohol. Now, these conditions stem all the way back to a deadly crash on December 23rd of last year in which Burrows was charged. Police say the driver of a BMW lost control on Glenmore Trail Southwest before veering onto the shoulder and striking a stationary crane. 2 passengers were in the vehicle at the time. 1 suffered minor injuries. The other 18-year-old Zachary Legault died. Legault's father describes his son as a young man who was just beginning his career as a welder's assistant and was excited about his future. He says seeing Burrows accused of another impaired driving crash feels like reliving a nightmare.
To have another accident last week, that should never have happened. There's something wrong with the system. When you lose your driver's permit, there's a reason there. The police do that, right? You did something seriously wrong. The problem that it takes too long to go into the justice system in front of a court and to be sentenced.
Now, Burrows' lawyer, Alan Hepner, says that his client will remain in custody until at least the end of next week as court reviews his bail status. Meanwhile, a preliminary inquiry related to the December crash is set for sometime in November. Ian.
Thank you, Mark. And the province says it will soon be making life more difficult for stunt drivers and street racers. Starting August 25th, the new campaign will aim to educate Albertans about the dangers of stunt driving. It will also encourage people to report risky behavior they see on the road. Alberta's transportation minister says the province is working with law enforcement to identify times and locations where stunt speeding takes place. Devin Dreeshen says the new campaign will run for 2 to 3 weeks, then be evaluated for its effectiveness. Calgary police tell us they are not aware of the campaign. Medical experts are warning Calgarians to slow down and plan ahead amid a rise in e-scooter injuries across the country. The latest data from the Canadian Institute for Health Information shows hospitalizations related to e-scooter injuries rose 22% last year. Almost 1,000 Canadian riders had to see a doctor, including 234 Albertans. Some believe the further development of infrastructure like bike lanes would help to accommodate an influx of new users.
We've been seeing people who, are intoxicated with either alcohol or drugs or whatever, or they're double riding, or they're overestimating their skill or underestimating the speed that they're going, and then we see big collisions, right? So either collisions with cars, pedestrians, curbs, light poles, things like that. And that's where the big trauma comes in.
Calgary's e-scooter companies recommend helmets and advocate for sober and single riding. A petition aimed at keeping Alberta in Canada is making stops across Calgary this week. Kevin Green joins us live from one of those signing events at Confederation Park near the Rosemont Community Association. Kevin?
Ian, it might not look that busy over my shoulder right now, but before they started signing names here at 4 o'clock this afternoon, the lineup was over 100 people deep. They've just got a lot of volunteers and they're moving people through really quickly. This petition is part of a province-wide push called Forever Canadian, with volunteers gathering names at events like this one across the city. The campaign was launched earlier this month by former Alberta Deputy Premier Thomas Lukaszuk, who told me today he has about 2,000 volunteers across the province and is still recruiting more. The petition asks Albertans if the province should remain in Canada, and supporters have 90 days to collect nearly 294,000 signatures. While organizer Lukaszuk is not here in Calgary tonight, volunteers say they're getting involved as a way of countering what they see as our government's pro-separatist sentiment.
I think if you are the government of Alberta, you know, you're supposed to, your job is really to be part of the Canadian family.
I do feel that Alberta benefits from being part of Canada, always have, always will, stronger within a Canada as opposed to separated from a Canada.
Now, as I mentioned, this petition needs almost 300,000 signatures to qualify. That's substantially more than the separatist petition, which is presently before the courts to find out whether it is constitutional. That's because the day after Thomas Ukazak had this petition certified, the government changed the rules, allowing petitions to more easily reach their goal. There are several other opportunities for people to sign this petition in Calgary this week. For information on those, hit CTV Calgary's website at ctvnews.ca/Calgary.
Thanks very much, Kevin. The future of Calgary's vacant Hudson's Bay location remains uncertain, especially for the former Stephen Avenue store downtown. Last week, RioCan, the real estate investor, announced it was cutting financial ties with 5 of its now defunct Hudson's Bay properties. That leaves questions about maintenance costs for the 110-year-old building. It's not a heritage site and isn't protected against demolition. The Calgary Downtown Association says the downtown building should not be left sitting empty and hopes to meet with city leaders to discuss its future.
So how do we look at this amount of retail space and meet the current demands with our focus on intensification? We want more people living downtown. What are the amenities that are needed in a building like this that should be repurposed?
There are also empty bay stores at 3 Calgary malls. Nothing has been approved for those spaces either. The city says the growth in secondary suites in Calgary is accelerating. Homeowners have now registered 20,000 secondary suites with City Hall. The voluntary registry began in 2015 to make people aware of safe and legal secondary suites. It took 5 years to register the first 10,000 suites, but the number has doubled in only 2.5 years. The city also points out the number of new homes built with suites more than tripled between 2022 and 24. It's mid-August, which means it's the perfect time for a Dog Days of Summer story. So we looked into the top name for pooches in Calgary, and the number 1 is Luna. 1,019 licensed dogs have that name. Rounding out the top 5 are Charlie, Bella, Lucy, and Molly. As for breeds, Labs are the top dog. There are over 9,000 of them in Calgary. German Shepherds, Golden Retrievers, Border Collies, and Yorkshire Terriers are also the most popular. And Cranston wins the prize for the most licensed dogs in a single community at 1,794. Tuscany, Mackenziestown, Auburn Bay, and Douglasdale also love their pets. If you'd like to adopt, lots of furry friends are looking for their forever home at the Calgary Humane Society.
We have over 60 animals in our care that are ready to be adopted. This includes about 19 dogs, give or take, lots of cats, and we actually have lots of snakes right now.
Adoptable pets can be viewed on the calgaryhumane.ca website. The organization is running a discounted adoption fee promotion from August 16th until the 31st. And of course, Danielle, it is a beautiful evening to take your dog for a walk, maybe even let them have a swim to cool off, right?
Yes, it's hot.
Yeah.
I was at the beach today. Even before peak hours, it was hot out there. So it's a beautiful beach day. And yes, you'll have to take a little dip in the water to cool down and enjoy it as much as you can, because things change once again by tomorrow. It will not be nearly as warm tomorrow, and we have some active weather possible tomorrow as well. But for the rest of today, in Calgary, it's quiet. Just to the north of Calgary, Airdrie and up, those areas under a severe thunderstorm watch at this point because of the potential active weather, even for this evening. But in Calgary, it's 25. It's stunning. It's a beautiful day, but it's definitely hot. You need the sunscreen out there. Okay, your 24-hour forecast brought to you by Fifth Avenue Volkswagen, where you can win your ride. See dealer for details or visit fifthAvVW.com. And tomorrow, a high of 23 degrees. Winds will be gusty in the afternoon, and by the noon hour, we have the potential for thunderstorm activity.
Thanks, Danielle. Some engineering students at the University of Calgary have to feel good about their project. They're back from Costa Rica after ensuring a community there has fresh water. Also coming up, the charitable organization that's giving wheels to kids with disabilities. And if you have a news tip, text us at 10400. A small community in Costa Rica now has fresh water and increased water flow thanks to some engineering students at the University of Calgary. In May, 11 students headed to the Central American country. The previous water system in the village of Taos was 35 years old. So the students built a water storage tank and added filtration. It was organized by Project 90, a student group based on the notion that 90% of the world's engineering resources only benefit 10% of the population. The student group focuses on helping everyone else.
While we were on the grounds, we managed to greatly repair the storage tank. We managed to begin the implementation of sedimentation, a new water source capture tank, and that new water source would more than double the town's water capacity and water flow.
The group spent 8 months planning the project at the university before building and completing it. I thought that was a pretty spectacular day overall.
Right?
Yeah.
What a beautiful day. We had dry weather, no activity.
Sunshine.
Sunshine. It was bright. We got some vitamin D. Yeah, we need these days for sure. We also... Do we need rain this week? Yeah, we could always use a little bit of rain. We could pick up anywhere from 3 to 5 millimeters of rain over these next couple of days. So I'll show you that in the long-range forecast in just a second. But just checking out temperatures, 25 degrees at the airport, 26 downtown, 24 in Bragg Creek, and a little warmer Irricana down through Strathmore, 27 at the moment. Get your daily dose of greens at Serenity Golf Club, just 20 minutes east of the city. And this, I believe, is Glen-approved golf weather. So, yes, our 6 o'clock sports anchor says this is the best of the best because we don't have the wind as well. Okay, 29 is the temperature in Lethbridge and into the 30s. Brooks, Medicine Hat down through Milk River. And again, calm winds. Different story for tomorrow because this weather pattern is now shifting. So we have the jet stream that's shifting down. It will open us up to this system moving in. So already that instability in much of central Alberta. And then this is tracking down the QE2. You can see it off north of Hanna as well. North of Coronation. This is going to start tracking in to southern Alberta, especially by tomorrow. So as early as noon tomorrow in Calgary, we have the potential for the thunderstorm activity. But for the rest of today, quiet in Calgary, just to the north of Calgary, Airdrie up through Olds, Red Deer, over to Coronation. There is a severe thunderstorm watch in place. Most communities will not see this activity that far south. But there is the potential, which is why the watch is in place. So as we look at the weather pattern, this upper level weather pattern that really steers what goes on at the surface, this is going to shift to the south. That's going to open us up to much colder weather that will move in over the next couple of days, especially by Thursday. But then we'll bounce back for the weekend. So if you like the warmer temperatures, that will return for Saturday and Sunday. Okay, let me give you the hour by hour here. And really, as you can see, there's very isolated pockets as we go through the rest of today, but there is the potential up the QE2. Overnight, a greater chance, absolutely. And then through tomorrow, by about noon, that activity will likely creep all the way down to Calgary. So by the noon hour tomorrow, we have the potential in the city for showers and thunderstorm activity. And then we get a bit of a break, likely around the supper hours, and then another wave rolls back in tomorrow night, so by 8:30. And then that will last through those overnight hours with some carryover rain through early Thursday morning. Also, this will drag in a cooler air mass. So check out the temperature cool down here, 23 degrees for tomorrow. In addition to the potential for thunderstorm and shower activity by noon tomorrow, we also will get gusty up to 40 kilometers per hour, and that will be a chillier wind out of the northwest. By Thursday, oh my goodness, just a high of 18. Showers possible in the morning up until about 8 a.m. and then things will start to clear out, but we'll likely hold on to some cloud cover. We'll be back in the 20s for Friday and back to the mid-20s by the weekend.
A special program is letting all kids get behind the wheel of toy cars. Variety, the children's charity of Alberta, launching their Go Baby Go program for the 3rd straight year. The program customizes toy cars, from adjusting pedals to using brain-computer interfaces to let kids of all abilities move around. Chantal Mireau's son, Beckett, has cerebral palsy, and she says the toy car is a game changer for him.
We're actually going camping this weekend, and now we're trying to figure out how we can bring that with us, because all of our camping trips so far have been a lot of holding him, and he gets frustrated, so now he'll have a way to explore outside and in the great outdoors like all other kids his age.
The program has given more than 350 customized cars to young children since 2019. The Alberta Cancer Foundation lottery launched today. One of 3 grand prize choices is a $2.8 million dream villa in West Springs. Formerly known as the Cash and Cars Lotto, this year's draw is offering over 1,000 prizes. Money from ticket sales goes towards local research and improving patient care at Alberta's cancer centers. 1 in 2 Albertans will develop cancer in their lifetime. A big part of Alberta's agricultural sector will get hit later this week. Still ahead, how the trade war with China will affect canola producers. Inflation is on the rise in the U.S., and that may lead to a cut in interest rates. Joining me is Dave Popowich, Portfolio Manager with the Popowich-Karmali Advisory Group. And Dave, it seems the impact of tariffs is starting to take effect.
Yeah, hi, Ian. I think what your statement there on both cases was exactly correct. When we look at the inflation data, this is the consumer inflation data that we got in the United States today. When you look under the hood, you can certainly see evidence that tariffs are starting to have an effect in certain areas, although they're obviously being offset in other areas, because when we looked at the headline data, it says on a year-over-year basis, inflation coming in at 2.7% was actually a tick or 0.1% below what the market was looking for. Now, on a core basis, when you strip out things like food and energy, those volatile items, the headline number for core was 3.1% year-over-year. Excuse me, and that was a tick higher than what was expected. But the month-over-month number was right on line, so that's likely a rounding error. On balance, what the market said was, hey, this data was pretty much as expected, and that should allow the U.S. Fed to cut interest rates in September and perhaps one more time throughout the year. Now, what's interesting, of course, is inflation is moving higher, not lower, but the Fed likely to look through the temporary, the one-time impact that tariffs will have, certainly whenever we figure out what tariffs are going to actually settle at, and they'll be looking at some of the weakness in the job market.
Dave, thanks very much.
Bye, Ian.
China is taking action against Canada and imposing an anti-dumping duty on Canadian canola. That will have an impact on Alberta, which produces a third of Canada's canola. The duty will be set at 76% starting on Thursday. China is the world's biggest importer of canola and sources nearly all of its supplies from Canada. This is the latest escalation in a trade war that began last year when Ottawa imposed tariffs on Chinese electric vehicles.
Right now, it could be absolutely devastating. I woke up this morning, as most canola farmers did, seeing that we had lost about $1 a bushel in the value of our product that we want to sell this year. So, quite roughly, that's 7% of our income.
Alberta's agriculture minister calls the move a devastating blow to the province's agriculture industry. He's calling on Ottawa to engage with China and restore market access. WestJet passengers facing delays today because of a system-wide outage. Passengers across Canada, the U.S. and Europe were impacted, including those in Calgary. In a statement, the airline says a temporary system outage this morning delayed the handover of aircraft from maintenance personnel for scheduled operation. The issue has been resolved, but it's taking time to return to normal operations. Anyone flying WestJet today should check their flight status before heading to the airport. The province wants to crack down on stunt drivers and street racers. Here's Tara Nelson with a look ahead to CTV News at 6.
Hi, Ian. A new campaign is launching at the end of August, although Calgary police say they aren't aware of it. Coming up at 6, Alberta's transportation minister explains why the problem will partly rely on other drivers to report the dangerous behavior. Also ahead, the number of e-scooter injuries is on the rise in Canada. Coming up, what Calgarians think of the advice for cutting down on crashes. Ian.
Thanks, Tara. The Duchess of Edinburgh is coming to Calgary. Spruce Meadows announcing today that Sophie will be visiting during the Masters tournament in September. Earlier this year, the show jumping facility announced the Duchess as its royal patron. Sophie will visit from September 4th to the 7th. Along with taking in some competition, Her Royal Highness will also visit a number of local charities supported by Spruce Meadows. Well, hopefully you had the opportunity to enjoy today's beautiful sunny weather. Right now in Calgary, pretty much ideal at 25 degrees. Danielle has the forecast coming up. So the possibility of some showers by tomorrow, but in the meantime, this evening looks delightful.
Oh, delightful, yes. Yeah, enjoy as much as you can of it because July was cool and wet. We're getting back into a bit of a cool and wet pattern for another couple days after today. Now we'll rebound for the weekend, so don't worry, there's still a lot of nice weather to be outdoors in this week. But this is certainly a beautiful evening. 25 degrees is the current temperature. It's also the daytime high. It's a little above normal, at least by a couple of degrees. Okay, let's talk about the 3-day forecast here because this is the change that we're seeing. So already there's a lot of activity happening with regards to thunderstorm activity in central Alberta. That will track in and could be arriving Calgary as early as noon tomorrow. So mainly cloudy for the morning, then active weather possible by noon and even tomorrow night as well. Through tomorrow night and Thursday morning, we could see about 3 to 5 millimeters of rain. And look at your daytime highs. They certainly cool down, just 18 by Thursday. But we'll be back in those mid-20s for the weekend. So if you miss out on this evening, don't worry. Plan something for the weekend.
Thanks, Danielle. You still have time to join the Calgary Public Library's Ultimate Summer Challenge. It's an initiative that encourages Calgarians of all ages to read every day in July and August. Organizers say it's a great way for kids to continue developing their reading skills when they're not in school. Ava Goller-McMurdo is 11 years old and going into grade 6. She enjoys reading to her younger sister Zoe and reads multiple books each week. So far, she's logged well over 150 for the Ultimate Summer Challenge.
It's always wonderful to see kids and families reading together, and you know, seeing kids that are so excited for their books that they start reading them and they're reading them as they walk out the door. That's part of why I do what I do.
There are also prizes up for grabs for everyone who's registered in the Ultimate Summer Challenge. We've posted more information about it on our website, ctvnews.ca/Calgary.
Melanie, remind me how...
Thank you for joining us. Now here's the early edition of the CTV National News.